It's the Teller Drawer. Real talk, real money, real people.
Credit unions were started by communities.
The standpoint of just being a credit union, it's kind of our job to go beyond.
Listening to the community. What are the needs?
CSE can come in and they can do financial literacy.
They're going to get that balance. They're going to get that purchase amount.
If you reach out to us, we'll help you.
The big myth is that it's always banks beat credit union.
It takes a lot of A's to get to a D, to get to a B.
Welcome back, everybody. We're excited to be here with another podcast. Here with a crew from CSE. I'm Lucas Tyndall here, a member of the credit union, representing all of you who are learning more about your money. Your money may be wherever it may be. Hopefully it's in CSE. But today we're talking about financial feelings, which I'm excited to talk about as a person who does many transactions as an entrepreneur, as a father, as a husband in the community. I have some financial feelings of my own. So we're going to talk about it today. I'm here with Tim, my co-host, and some friends he brought along today.
Yeah, got to bring friends every time. These guys know way more about all these subject matters than me, and that's why I bring them.
I love it. Love it. And Justin's become a regular. Now, just so you guys know the truth, Justin was offered a permanent spot on the couch, and he said, no. But we've gotten him here for quite a few episodes, so you guys may know him now. So, yeah, Justin, you're an expert. Everybody talks about your expertise and things like this. What do you think about? Just an opening thought maybe on financial feelings.
You know, living in your financial truth is one thing that I always talk about. And I'm glad to be here today with Sharon, who's
I'm here.
Certified in our financial counseling as well. And we just want to talk about some things we see in industry and what we see when we're doing the counseling, and just kind of give some tidbits on what can help you through life and get over those financial hurdles.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Love that.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk internally that money is a mindset, and you've got to have the right mindset, but you've also got to have the education and knowledge to know how to manage your money and manage it well, make it work for you, make it grow for you, and make sure you know where it's going. It's so easy to have money come into your account every Friday or whatever day you get paid. Then it's gone. And you're like, well, how do I get to the next Friday or the 2 Fridays from now when I get paid again? And we want to help empower people to not fight that feeling. So I guess we're going to start with exactly what you said, money and your emotions and how it ties in with that, the psychology behind money. Full disclosure, we're not psychologists. Certainly like to talk about.
Don't call us for that.
The psychology of money, because it's certainly a thing, and it's got to be a mindset. It's got to be something that you think about regularly. You know, hopefully they're better feelings than not. Something that is important as a consumer to have your head wrapped around what your money is doing. So,
and I think it's important to know, even though we are like the bankers, we're the credit union, we should know better. We're still normal people.
We're still humans.
From our front line to our CEO, like all of us are going to make mistakes with our money, and we're going to learn from it. And I think that is important to shed light on, because, you know,
that's powerful.
Money's emotional no matter who you are, right?
I think outside in, you assume, I mean, I sometimes it's like a bill collector calls you. And I think, isn't a bill collector calling you too? Like just because you're a bill collector doesn't mean you own the company and you're the wealthiest person.
And
I'm
you
like,
know what you're doing.
So when they're not kind and considerate, I'm always like, this isn't your money. And I'm a person, you're a person. So I also I think I may have talked about this in previous episodes, the feeling of walking up to a teller. They're seeing your financial life right there in front of you, in front of them. And we now have a lot more tools online, which you guys have provided, so you can check those things. But there was a time where you're really walking up there asking them, like, how much do I have here and what's going on there? And even now, though, going up to the teller, you're putting money in, and you have, say, you guys do loans, and like my car loan is there and credit card. So it's like sometimes you're putting money in and it's like, well, wait, I owe these same people money. I'm trying to figure that out. And you're having these feelings, and in your mind, you're like, but they don't know that this thing over here to me or my family right now is more important, you know? And I would say certainly at CSC, the kindness that you guys operate with is second to none, but those feelings do exist.
Yes. And the one thing I was going to say is, the most important part is understanding what you know right now about finances and where those financial, I would say, your financial behaviors came from. And we know what we see, right? And we know what we grew up in. And I think that's the first place we got to start is okay, I came up and I know my mom did this, but did it actually work? And sometimes, what's the saying? You're familiar with the devil, than the thing that you don't know.
Yep.
You rather just stay in that same
what you're familiar with.
Yes.
and what you're familiar with. So I think the first part is recognition. Just recognizing, I might need a little bit of help because what I seen my mom do and my grandmother do, that didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
And I want to change the narrative of this financial story. So I think that's the most important piece, is just recognizing that it's okay to get some help. I'm not going to be the best at finances, and finances are one of those things. It's a continuing. You're continuing to learn about it.
Yeah.
Love that.
And that's all good. But at the same time, I'm be the little devil.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here comes.
There are so many things out there in the world. One, inflation, the economy, all these things that are fighting against you. And then you've got all these other outside influences saying, hey, Justin, you kind of want this. Well, yeah, I already bought out lunch 5 times this week. I can't do it a 6th.
Yeah.
Or, those shoes are speaking to me, or whatever the case. Talk about some of the influencers that you see. And I know you're thinking social influences, but just influences in general that say, buy this stuff, buy more.
I know for me personally, I can go as far as unsubscribing to an email because I know I'm going to see that, 50% off. Yes. But let's be real. They've hiked the prices, right? If that's a trigger for me, I'm going to see this sale and that means I need to buy something. Or speaking of social, I've been seeing a lot since 2024, especially on social media. They call it like this phenomenon of like a no spend trend. So people are dedicating, this is a no spend weekend. This is a no spend month. And maybe they do have a traditional budget, but they're like, okay, I've been a little out of hand and I need to scale it back a little. I need to rein it in. And so I know even my best friend, this was their goal. They wanted to buy a house. We're having a no spend year. Wow. And so it's May right now as we're recording this. She just sold and bought a house.
Wow.
And now, did that mean they really did not spend money? No, they did the essentials, but super budgeted for those extras, that type of thing.
That's good.
And then they reached their goal. So I've seen that. And then the other thing about social influencers. Anybody buy something from TikTok Shop lately?
Yep.
For me, that's a hard and fast no. That is a rule for me. A rule for me.
You will not buy from there?
I will not.
We need to ban
live
TikTok
QVC.
again.
I know, ban it again.
Because it's scroll after scroll of, that is a really cute outfit.
It is genius.
That steamer would be helpful in my cleaning and I'll use it once. Okay. But
or just on the flip side, Amazon. Well, hey, all these people that bought this also bought this, and this.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Add this to your cart, and it only cost you this.
Yeah.
So,
and Lucas, what I love about this is I get to listen and see that what they're talking about, that trend to spend, and that's so big. The trend to spend. For every one of me that's trying to encourage you to do the right thing with money,
there's so many more.
Thousands out there just trying to get you to spend that dollar. And I think that's the first part, awareness that these people aren't here to make me feel good. They're here to take my money,
Well, because they're typically earning commission.
Yeah.
They're sponsored by this person.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, I love a good buy, but also, do I need it? Do I want it? Have I asked myself? No, I just know this is exciting. What a good deal at the moment. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
And then I get home and I'm like, there's a package. What am I going to do with this? I'll probably never actually use the steamer.
Or it's so easy to also be like, well, it's just $5, or it's just one more thing, and then
especially
I'm done.
on TikTok Shop, right?
But then every time you go out, my wife goes to Aldi for our grocery, and every time I'm going to go down aisle 2, which has all those fun little trinkets. And she always comes home with something.
Right? We don't need another planner.
I love you, Sarah.
Yes, I know, right? I know, right? Tell her you love her. I think it's really interesting because the psychology of sales. I went to school for marketing and done a lot of sales. It is very emotional, and when you're in sales, it is emotional. Yeah. So good salespeople are conscious of triggering those things and giving you that feeling of you want it now, you deserve
gratification.
it. Instant gratification, and we live in such a society like that. It's easier now than ever before, and I would say it is not to say that we shouldn't spend money, right? Recessions and depressions are you stuffed the money in your mattress and you feared putting money into the flow of an economy, which hurts us, right? So somewhere in there is good financial literacy where we understand my spending in one area allows for a job for someone else. It creates a flow, but there's things I need, and then there's things that are just that we have to know our wants versus our needs.
Yes.
I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is absolutely on our outline here
Look at
today.
When we talk about finances, the best way to think of it is we're trying to balance. Good finances is about good balance. And to speak to what you're talking about, yeah, you should be able to spend, but let's spend with some intention.
Yeah.
And that's where we're going to get into the needs and the wants and just recognizing those things. And I know everyone's thinking, I already know this stuff, but yeah, you may know it, but are you practicing it? Are you actually using it? And that's what we want to bring the awareness to, that 7 out of 10 people are still living paycheck to paycheck because they know these things. They're just not implementing it.
My thought came back to me. The other thing that is totally working against so many people is the move that we've made as a society to cashless stuff, where you just swipe and
You don't
I'll
So
worry about that
easy.
later.
Yeah.
You know, as long as my card works, I got the money, whether it's a credit card or a debit card. Don't care about that fee that you might get. I mean, maybe you do after the fact, but right now for that instant gratification, Sharon, you were talking about, it's so easy to swipe it and then I'll pay for that later. I'll worry about that later. Credit card debt continues to increase as a nation and probably as a world significantly every year because people just can't tell themselves no.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a no for now. It's not a no permanently. It's a no for now. And I got to budget for that or save for that or whatever the case may be. And you know, it's difficult because you brought up sales and we're in marketing, the three of us at the credit union. That's what we're trying to do, is to get people to use us when they spend money, but responsibly.
Yes.
So we have internal discussions like, you know, is this really best for our members?
Right.
But at the same time, we know that people are spending money.
Yes.
We want it
At
to
least
be
make
as
a good
fair
choice
and affordable
doing it.
as possible.
That's good.
Too. So
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
So when we talk about the needs and the wants, I think the important piece to know is that everyone's going to be a little different. You're going to be in different chapters of your life. So your needs are going to be expressed a little bit differently. So for me, you know, right now, I don't have kids. I don't have the significant other. So my budget and my needs and wants look a little bit different. And that's why I often say comparison is not only the thief of joy. What is it, guys? The thief of your
money.
Money,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Yes.
So you can't compare
TM
yourselves.
Dustin Frazier.
Is that right? Okay, I didn't know about this.
You know, if you try to compare yourself to Lucas, well, you don't know what Lucas has going on right now. He's striving for a different goal than you're striving for. So I often say a budget is very much like a tailored suit. It needs to be tailored to yourself. So when we start talking about these needs versus wants, you got to get really intimate with your budget, because you got to understand, where are we going? And what are her triggers? What are the budget's triggers? So when we talk about needs for myself, I like some fine things in life, and that's okay for me, because I'm not having to deal with the extra expense of maybe children or having to spend the daycare costs. But for Sharon, it may look a lot different. So
I was just going to bring up this example. As you're talking, so like I have a 3-year-old, right? So I have a family, and I am an impulse shopper. Like I do binge shopping, and I mean, I at least like budget for it, but like
We
by
need to send her our
budget,
list
I'm
of
like,
wants.
I pay it off,
She just
and then
binges
I'm
on
like,
that.
oh, okay, I can't do that for another month, right?
Yeah.
So like I know that I do it, and here's like my problem. It's let's go get all these things. I want my son to have everything.
Yeah.
Like I don't want him to want for anything, which is a good and bad problem. Let's be real.
Yeah.
But
He didn't play with the
there's
stuff he has.
$300 out the door.
Yes.
I get home. What do I do with this stuff? I'm a big returner. Okay. So I
Okay,
do at
good.
least return things.
Right.
But man, what work work I just created for myself. And then because I'm having guilt. Okay. I'm going to bring this. So I feel real good. I'm real high. I just spent all this money on some real fun things.
Yes.
And then I'm feeling guilty. I'm like, that's $300 that could go to his college tuition.
Wow.
But then I'm like, what's $300 really gonna do?
Right.
So it's this internal struggle of like, I'm real high, I'm real low. Like, I just need to find that even keel place.
You're not
I think
alone.
for myself.
Yeah,
and that's even me who is a certified financial counselor now.
Right.
Like I still learn from my mistakes, and I do better every month by not spending $300 at
Trust me,
Marshalls or
these
something.
sessions we have often, and we talk about, we're very much the dynamic of most people. A mom, a dad, the single guy that's just on vacation. It seems like all the time.
All the time.
Let me let this be known. It's not all the time, but it is so true. Is that we have to have a realization with ourselves, and then friends are important. Your financial friend, because you need to talk to someone to say, "Am I thinking correctly, or is it just me?" So
100%.
that's what we really wanted to talk about today, is just those emotions you have behind the finances. Is why is this giving me such a high? What am I really what void am I trying to fill here? Because I need to live in my financial truth. So when we talk about needs and wants, that's a hard one, because you may feel like it's a need.
I was just thinking that.
But
immediately,
like I need to go. I need to go to the movies with my wife because we need date night, right? Which feels like a need.
Yeah.
But then we need popcorn, which is $4,000, and then we need a drink, which is $2,000. And if you you can't, they're like the medium and the large is just $2 difference. You might as well do the blah blah blah.
At least with the large, you get the refill now.
Right, at least you get the refill. But who's going to leave the theater to get a refill? Like I'm in the movie, watching the movie. But it is. I think it is really a good point that we have to decipher needs versus wants. I once heard somebody say people will buy their wants and beg their needs. And so they're asking you for help for but my kids aren't going to have a thing, or we're going to lose our this, that, or the other. And you're like, but you were living it up like last weekend. Like, what are you talking about? Because they bought their wants, but now they're begging their needs, and they're saying the system's unfair and this is wrong, and the bank won't loan me money and this won't happen, or whatever it is. And it's like, we really do have to battle with that internal battle. And sometimes people come from affluence. They had a lot. And now as an adult, they don't have what their parents had, and they struggle with that. And sometimes you come from like me, I didn't have anything. So every day that I have a little, I want to experience a little, right? It's like, I never went out to eat as a kid. We never went out to eat. Like I don't ever remember me and my whole family going out to eat ever. So as an adult to go out to eat is it's not even a luxury. It feels like a necessity. Like sometimes it is, but I enjoy every single time I go out to eat. Like I am like,
what a treat.
What a treat. Like what an experience. But that treat is not something that I'm like, once a month is fine. Every now and then it's fine. It's like, no, I want to experience that thing I never experienced. And then I tell myself, and I know a lot of you out there tell yourself this, I work so hard. Right? And there is some truth to that. I work so hard. I deserve to enjoy some of this. Like if all that hard work just goes towards paying this growing electric bill and going to pay for eggs that cost a ridiculous amount of money, like, come on, I might as well go somewhere and let somebody cook the eggs for me at least, you know what I mean? Fair. But we battle with those things. And I would say even as a person, a consumer, a person, like, it is a continuous battle, but to your point, we do have to try to dig into the psychology of it all because there's a lot of other factors, triggers, things that are going wrong. We feel insignificant, maybe in a relationship or at our job. And so then we're doing retail therapy, right? So I think these are real big topics.
So even with that, you know your stressor. Maybe it is your job. And so you go home and you got to check out. So you're scrolling, you're bored. So you're scrolling, right? You're bored.
Then they get you.
And then they get you. And then you're buying. Oh, yes. Pay for, what's it called? Like
Klarnas and all those
one click
later?
pay or whatever.
They have all those things now. Layaway. That is what it is. I never thought about that. But you get it. It's a layaway. You used to have to pay it off to get it.
I think there's this realization you have to have, like, okay, if this is my problem space, what do I need to do instead? What's this new behavior I should be doing? Is it, for me, I know I don't do it every time, but I try to. If I'm shopping at night online on my phone, I'm going to leave it till the morning. I sleep on it.
That's good.
Yes, the 24-hour rule, some people call it. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I don't need all 27 things in my cart. Maybe I need 3.
Purge the cart.
Right. Let's purge that a little bit. Let's slim it back. Like maybe instead of $100, I'll go for $20, okay? Or maybe it's, I'm stressed out, I'm scrolling, I'm buying, I'm whatevering. Let's go outside. Let's actually live a little bit and breathe some fresh air, and maybe I'll feel better from my stress because I got some sunlight and I'm not sitting in a dark house.
It's great.
Something like that.
Great point.
And you know, what I love about this is that you may be listening right now saying, yes, that sounds like me. What do I do?
I was just going to ask that question. What do we do next?
What do we do?
You're getting into this psychology of it. You're understanding that it is a mindset. It's a mental block or it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, to either continue to fall into patterns of overspending or to rebound and say, I'm taking the reins, you know, I'm controlling my money and I'm not going to let it get, and you're going to, you know, we all fall off the bandwagon for different things, right?
Yeah.
But especially when it comes to your money and shopping, because there's always something different that pops up. You know, maybe you've taken a new interest and that costs you money. Maybe you start going to the gym.
Yeah.
You got to have those workout clothes.
And I love that Tim just said that.
Something, right?
Because if you're asking yourself, what do? You need to get financially fit. And when we talk about getting financially fit, and I think on a previous podcast, we talked about, or if you haven't seen or heard me say it, a budget is your financial workout.
Yeah.
So you have to actually sit down with that budget, because first you have to have an understanding of what is your financial truth. So I always say 3 things you need to know. Budgeting basics. What's coming in, talking about net income. What's going out, your expenses. And then what I call your adult allowance, what's left over.
Yeah.
The reason the what's left over is important is because that's your discretionary income. It's at your discretion of how you're going to utilize that. Yeah. But what most people don't consider is that you racked up some debt. So you've used the credit cards because you were, you know, the behaviors and the impulses were going and you were on vacation living your best life. So you have to use some of that discretionary income to pay off those debts. Yeah. And I often tell people this, and this is something that if you think about it really resonates, you know, we all go out, most of us, to make an hourly wage. And you know that number, if it's $20 an hour, $50 an hour, whatever it is. If we start looking at our debt like time, we would stop spending money like we have time to waste.
Wow.
You know, so
that's really good.
You know, you're out there with all this debt, which equates to time. And you work hard for that. And one resource you still can't buy is your time. So we got to get intentional with our money. We got to sit down and do that budget. Yeah. I know it doesn't feel good, but just like working out, the more you do it, you're going to get fit. You're going to get those muscles and you're going to say, this isn't as bad as it was the first day I started. So that's step 1. Yeah. And then step 2, you're going to start looking at those triggers. Gosh, how did I end up back on TikTok buying stuff or back on Facebook or whatever your trigger may be? Yeah. So now you got to discover some ways to counter that. Just like me in dieting, I don't keep soda and chips at the house because I know if it's there, I'm going to eat it. So it may be time to go ahead and take Amazon off the phone. I know it seems like
that sounds
striking,
crazy.
Right. You know,
you're right.
You got to do those things.
Right. That window shopping. I'm just browsing. Yeah. And then they come up, can I help you? Because they're like, my job is to sell you something, you know? And
for sure.
I think when you go to buy a car, they always say, I'm going to get you in something. And I'm like, they mean debt. That's what they mean. As deep, much debt as possible because they want to make as much money as I'm going to get you in something today. And you're like, you are? Yeah, don't worry about it. You no credit, bad credit, never had credit. It's like, okay, right? I'm going to get you in something.
Totally right.
Get you into a high interest rate and stress you out later. Yeah.
And so you shifted into the financial fitness.
Yeah.
What are some things as financial counselors? What do you tell people? What does that look like?
Just show up. Show up for yourself. So when I say show up, we talked about making sure you do the budget. Now it's time to put it into action. So, you know, you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I can do this. Well, try it. Let's try. Let's see what you can do. Yeah. Then you got some benchmarks. You're like, woo, I'm out of shape. I'm financially out of shape. I got to get on this financial treadmill a little bit and see what I can do here and kind of clean some things up. So you got to start, and then you're going to start to discover things about your budget. You're going to say, you know what? I got to put the cards down. There was a period of time for myself because I wanted to be debt free and say, I just have my house, my car, and that's it. Well, I learned that if you have a card in your wallet, you're going to use it. Yeah. So I had to go back to cash because there's some, you know, when they say cash is king,
you feel it when you spend cash.
Feel it, right? And, you know, one thing I often preach is bring those kids to the table. If they're at an age where it makes sense, like 11, 12, even at a younger age, you can start to get them understanding this is the way we're going to start to break those generational financial hardships, is that we got to get them to understand that there are limited resources. Yeah. And that if we want to have that vacation, let's sit down together and see what that looks like. Mom made
that fun money. Yeah.
Mom makes X. This is what's going out and this is what's left over. So how much of this can we save? Because kids start to understand, there are some limits.
There is a cost to this. Yeah.
You want them to understand that. So that's why cash is so important, because if you can actually feel that cash leaving your hand, you're like,
Your hand's empty when your hand's empty.
yeah, you're
That's
going to think
good.
twice and how fast you're
As opposed to
spending
that card, you're like, I'll check my account later. And you're like, where did that happen? Where did I spend that money at?
I blacked out a little.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It should be a family affair. And that's what I see a lot, is that there's one person in the family responsible for all the finances. And it's so hard for them because there's a couple uncontrollables and it's everyone else.
Yeah.
And everyone else doesn't understand what they're going through because they haven't sat them down at the table. So I'm telling everyone, if you have a family and you're struggling a little bit with keeping the reins in, sit them down at the table. Make it a group effort every month to say, what can we do to reach our financial goals?
I love that.
And then there's things you can do even with just the budget in mind, like making savings automatic.
Yeah.
Paying yourself first, doing those little things.
Yes.
Then you can look back in the mirror or pull up your app or wherever it is that you look at your money and say, oh, okay. Like it's there.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that over the course of a month or over the course of 6 months
really
that it would grow that much. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be that you're saving $500 every time you get paid.
That's
$5 every time you get paid.
The automatic savings for me is my go-to. It makes I don't sit down and do a traditional budget. Some people do the cash stuffing. For me, it's digital cash stuffing. Like it's sub accounts to where automatically I have, I think it's like $20 a pay or $10 a pay, whatever it is, like Tim said, goes to a Christmas club. So I know I'm going to have money for Christmas. I know I'm going to have money for vacation.
That's good.
Even for me, like our mortgage, I have my husband's account and my account automatically,
pull the money
over 4 weeks. Yeah. Over 4 weeks, I have divided it out
That's
to
cool
where
stuff.
that portion of my mortgage is going from our paychecks to a sub account. And I'm like, okay, there it is. Let me send that bill along. So for me, making it automatic just makes my life so much easier. And
You
I know I'm
flip
gonna-
the technology.
Yeah.
Instead of the
exactly. Make it work for
technology,
you.
right? Instead of the Terminator attacking you, right?
Yeah.
It's like the bot, you used it and said, because that's why you guys put those things in place, even at the credit union. It's like, they're not there to, you didn't give a debit card out to cause harm. You don't give apps and things. You try to give people more tools to be responsible for their own financial lives. But we have to think about it, because what you just said is a way of using the tool. I might have all the same tools in my toolkit, but I never thought to use those tools that way. So I think this information is really
Some
good.
people are out there going, I'm a big dipper. I like to dip into my savings. As soon as I see 30 out there, I'm taking it out. So, those are the things we want you to recognize, because if that's you, we have things at the credit union, and most financial institutes can do this, where we can take your online access away. Well, why would I want to take my online access away? Well, maybe if you don't see it, you're not going to touch it.
I never thought about that.
So
I didn't know that.
We opened a whole separate bank account at another financial institution for our savings.
Yeah.
Wow.
My wife
Sometimes you just gotta be
literally
extreme
sees
about
money and it catches on fire. She's like, I want to spend.
Yeah.
I want to go do this. I wanna do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
burning,
And it's like-
burning a hole in your pocket.
We gotta
I like
just keep
that.
it out of sight, out of mind altogether, and we know what's in this account.
Yeah.
And
fair game,
hopefully by now you're starting to see that the reasoning that you need to understand your emotions behind your finances is because you want to get a resolve for it. You're in that same spot. You're like, why am I in the same trench? Because you haven't sat down and really recognized what's going on with my finances. Why am I doing these things like money avoidance? And a lot of times we're carrying on those traditions we've seen. So, maybe your mom did it and her grandmother did it, and you're just carrying these things that you think are normal, but you're like, I want to have better credit. I want to be able to go on vacation and not stress. I often tell the kids when I go to the high schools, I said, here's the difference of financial well-being. You got two people making the same income. One's thriving, one's on vacation, they're sleeping well, they got their children, they got the car that they wanted to get them from A to B. Then you got the other person who's stressed, who isn't able to go on vacation, who's worried about paying the next bill. same income, but different outcome. So we're trying to make sure that you have the tools to be efficient.
Same income, but different outcome.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what we're here today, to just try to give you those tools to help you be more efficient, because we want to be more transparent about finances, because we want everyone to reach their goals, no matter, how much money you make. High earners doesn't mean you're wealthy. Wealth is in the efficiency of spending your money.
Yeah.
Love that.
We talk about that all the day because of people always think that, well, you're a millionaire, you got to have great credit, or you have bad credit. That means you don't make any money. None of that matters without a budget, without a money mindset.
Wow.
And that's certainly not true. You can have no money and have great credit. You can have $1 million and never pay anybody because you're just overextended. It's all about how you take care of your day-to-day finances. So at the end of the day, it's really about rewiring your brain, telling your mind, it's mind over money, or maybe it's money over mind. I don't know. Justin, you probably have a saying for that, because I swear in a former life you were a preacher. but yeah, it's about rewiring that mindset and making sure that you're taking care of yourself first.
Yeah.
And then the money will kind of fall in line. And you guys are awesome resources. We've got a number of people at the credit union that are resources. Justin, you want to talk about that?
I love that you're talking about the mindset of money and rewiring your mind, because that's what we're trying to do. That's the goal. Yeah. And in order to have good finances, you have to continue to want to learn, rewire the way you think, and understand where you're going. Thankful at the credit union, we have tons of resources like our financial counseling program. You're able to call, get through to me as of right now, and we're going to sit down and have a conversation and get you well on your way to being financially well. And it's going to take time. You got to be gracious with yourself. One of my main jobs is to advocate for the community. I'm always got an ear to the ground. So I understood the need of the financial counseling. So the credit union has taken action with that, and we've certified 8 more financial counselors just to help in the day-to-day
in their role
operations. So as far as lending and on the solution side, we got someone there that kind of has that additional skill to help you. And we're certifying another 11 to 12, because we understand people want this help. They want the advice. They just want someone to be able to say, we're here for you, not for the dollar. And the good thing about credit unions is we're always people over profit. So we're continuing to do everything we can to bring resources. And if you're having any issues with finances or trying to pay off your debt, give us a call. We'll be happy to help in some form of fashion. And one of the most important things I want everyone to take away is just do something, start somewhere, get that budget in place. Lean into a financial friend. It doesn't have to be you calling the credit union every day, but if you have someone that's great with money, lean into them and sit them kids down and make sure they understand about finances too, because we're working towards the future.
Yep.
Love that. Love that. You guys, I mean, a great conversation as always. To our listeners out there, we want to thank you guys for tuning in and enjoying this podcast. We hope that you're learning something. This isn't just a talk show where people are talking about random things. This is an educational podcast where people are really able to learn, and whether CSE is their financial institution of choice, or some credit union out there, or somewhere out there in the world, wherever you are across the world listening to this, we hope that people are really learning something and picking something up from this.
Yeah.
We appreciate
Money matters, banked or unbanked. So.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yep.
Cool.
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
All right. We'll see you. Thank you.
Thank
you guys. Take care, everybody.
See you.